Good morning. My name is David Jackaway and my pronouns are he, him. I was one of your delegates to the 2025 UUA General Assembly in June. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join our in-person coffee hour immediately following the service. During our service, there is a time for sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives with one another. Cards for sharing your joy or sorrow are on the table by the entrance to the sanctuary, or so I'm told. We ask that you pick them up and fill them out prior to that section of our service. Over the past several months, you have heard us describe the 6 core values of Unitarian Universalism: generosity, interdependence, pluralism, transformation, equity, and justice, all centered in love. What you haven't heard much about are the covenant statements associated with each of the values. Shared aspirations about how we, as Unitarian Universalists, hope and strive to live out these values together. For example, the justice value has this aspiration: we covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large. The best example of the use of inclusive democratic processes within our association is the annual General Assembly. This year, over 3,000 UUs gathered either in person in Baltimore or online, including several of us from UUI. Today, you will hear reflections from some of those who participated in this year's GA. We are so glad that you are with us today. We hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful.
Our congregation is a lively community with many opportunities to participate. Here is an announcement for today, but please check your order of service for more. The Ministerial Search Committee encourages you to take part in September listening sessions. These sessions are opportunities to share thoughtful perspectives that will help shape our future ministry. If you have feedback you'd like to share outside of these sessions, please contact the msc@uui.org or participate in the survey and focus group sessions. Sign up for a listening session at the MSC table in the social hall today and every day or all through August, or scan the QR code, or you can pick up the purple flyer in the social hall. Thank you.
Morning. I'm Holly Hendrickson, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm honored to serve our congregation today as a worship associate. The lit chalice is a symbol of our faith as Unitarian Universalists, born in resistance, carried in courage, and still burning for justice today. I've invited John and Elena to light our chalice for today. As we light our chalice in the sanctuary, I invite those on Zoom to light a chalice or a candle and to type your location in the chat. Our chalice lighting and opening words today are by Emily Richards. It's a poem called Stories in the Making. Some stories begin once upon a time or long, long ago. But other stories begin here and now. Those stories don't always have a clear direction. Sometimes they don't even have a clear beginning. What they do have is possibility. Those stories still in the making, stories that have yet to be fully written, stories with the potential to create change for good or ill. We don't know how the story ends until we get there, and we can decide what words we use to write those stories. We can use words like hope, kindness, gratitude, peace, courage, perseverance, joy, and love. Above all else, love.
Please rise and bow to your spirit as we join together in singing hymn 298, Wake Now My Senses. Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being on. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
All right. Good morning. I was at the GA too. I was helping with the children, or the teenagers. It was a really good time, and I'm happy to be here. Now it's time for our covenant. Would you please now join me in saying our covenant, which is also in your bulletin? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. And now we're going to say our covenant in Spanish. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor, y amarnos unos a otros. Este es nuestro pacto. Please be seated.
Now, let's enter into the time of the service where we share the joys and sorrows. The joys and sorrows of our lives with one another, so that they may be held in community. As the music plays, I invite people in the sanctuary to come up and drop a stone into the bowl if something is on your heart today. Please use both sides of the table. If you have written your joys or sorrows on a card, please leave them in the basket at the table and it will be read aloud. Please note that the cards are by the entrance to the sanctuary for easy pickup when you come in. For those of you on Zoom, we invite you to use the chat feature. Please put in all caps either joy or sorrow, plus your names and pronouns at the beginning of what you want to share, if you would like me to read it out loud in the sanctuary. You can also symbolically drop a stone into the bowl by typing drop stone or just DS into the chat. Thank you all. From Tina on Zoom, my niece is visiting from out of state. Sorrow, my cousin passed away from a seizure. Let us hold you in our heart right now. From Alice, We have a joy, for me and my mom are going out for milkshakes with my grandpa. From Sharon, we have a sorrow. The women's lunch at noon shows 6 p.m., but it is at noon. Great events, but be there at noon for ladies' lunch at noon. Sandra shares a joy and a sorrow. Friday was the Jewish anniversary of my dad's death. My mom and sister came down from Chicago to visit Dad's grave. The joy sounds like I got to hug my mom and sis. I spent an extended lunch break from work to go to the cemetery to see my mom and sis as well. Glad you got that time, Sandra. Though we may not be shared today, we know there are many more joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts and on our minds. Let us pause now for a moment of prayer and meditation. May we, as a human community, find a way to support those with sorrows, and may we take some comfort from those with joy. Blessed be, and amen.
Good morning. I might have to wipe my eyes for a second. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much. I already love that hymn. So getting to hear it in such a special way is just exceptional. So this is a time in our service when anyone of any age is welcome to join me up at the front of the sanctuary if they would like to get a closer look. And I see that I have some takers today. You might want to see, this one's pretty silly, you guys, if I'm being very honest. Yeah. Always good to get a view from, sometimes they say a view from the cheap seats, but that doesn't sound very nice, does it? You know. So today's service, you might have noticed, is being led by regular old people that you just happen to know from coffee hour. And that's really cool. But maybe when you look around and you notice that, you're like, why? Like, what do just average people from church have to say that's so important that they just get to take the whole service? Well, they're sharing about something really special, an event that a bunch of us went to in Baltimore, Maryland back in June for a whole week. And it's Unitarian Universalists General Assembly. And it's like a week-long day camp where UUs from all over the US and even Canada come and we hang out together and we eat meals together and we go to all different kinds of UU activities and we do worships together and we have amazing music and guest speakers and it's pretty cool. But all the people talking today are either adults or they're high school youth. So you might be asking yourself, what do kids do at GA? I guarantee that you're not expecting the answer that I'm going to give you. So kids definitely hang with their parents for part of the time. And like there are some areas at the big events where there's like a special kids activity area set up where kids can play and like there's lots of different activities to do. But kids also have a separate set of programs just for them. And this year, bless you, those were run by my friend Jen Blosser. And this is Jen. She was very excited about that enormous pizza. She is a high enthusiasm person, like just in general, which I appreciate. So when Jen came to GA, she brought this with her. This is the carrot of care. And Jen had intended for this to be like a talking carrot. Does anyone here know what a talking object is? Can anyone tell me? Holly, what's a talking object? Exactly. When you're holding it, it is your turn to speak. So this was her plan for the carrot of care. And, you know, then if anyone needed to pass, they still got to cuddle like a carrot stuffy, which is pretty cool. So she thought that would be fun. Like, who doesn't love that? But when you get a bunch of UU kids together, you never know what's going to happen, do you? And so Jen was telling everyone about a mascot the kids from her congregation have. His name is Jimmy McTophat. And this is Jimmy. And there's a long story about why Jimmy the McTophat exists. But as you can see, Jimmy keeps love at the center and is fully on board with all of our UU values, right? And this got the kids inspired because they were like, obviously the carrot of care is easily as cool as Jimmy McTophat. So they decided to get together, all of the kids at GA, and form a carrot council. So that sign, if you don't read yet, says the great and all-powerful carrot of care. And they planned carrot of care rituals, like they realized that the carrot of care under the right circumstances could be the flame that lit their chalice. And they protected the carrot of care's right to self-care, which I appreciate. If you don't read, this sign says, the carrot is sleeping, do not disturb. And some of our UU hymns got a rewrite. So instead of Blue Boat Home, this is Orange Vegetable Home. And the lyrics include things like, I've been growing all my life now, only carrot or care have I known. The wide universe is the garden I travel, and the carrot's my orange vegetable home. Yes. And then there was also a version of Spirit of Life, so how great that we sing that every week, because it's carrot of care, come unto me, grow in my heart all the stirrings of care. Roots hold me close, strong as a carrot. Carrot of care, come to me, come to me. And I have to make sure to credit at least one of the kids that were involved in this work, because it was important work. And a carrot choir was formed, like they held rehearsals. And plans were laid to celebrate the carrot of care's birthday on the last day of General Assembly, which did happen. And you know, not every kid was fully enthused about the carrot of care, but since their group covenant asked them to, quote, lean into the cringe, they rolled with it. Yeah. So Jen said that her favorite moment of carrotness was when she witnessed a younger kid asked to join the Carrot Council. And the Carrot Council had established that everybody on the council had to do some kind of job for the carrot, right? So this kid was asking for a job. And at first the kid said, we can't give you a job. And Jen kind of came over to remind people about like inclusion and equity and all those things. And they said, no, you don't understand. We can't give anyone a job on the Carrot Council because each person has to choose the work that is most meaningful to them given their time, their talents, and their level of comfort. And Jen was like, okay, you guys have this. I'll just be over here. In fact, she was so inspired by the carrot of care that this happened. That is not temporary. I will say there's a little bit of a tradition of religious educators getting Unitarian Universalist tattoos at GA, but this was a new level. So, and I told you she was high enthusiasm, right? Like, this is how it goes. But what the kids did inspired her because, as silly as it really was faith in action. The kids were playful, but they were also inclusive and caring. And they did governance work. They organized themselves and they divided up tasks and chose projects. They created worship elements. They planned celebrations and they created space for rest. Because you kids are awesome and can do all of these things. Did you have a question or a comment, Mia? Can we bring the carrot into this space? It seems like we do need a mascot, right? I seem to remember you may have donated an elephant to the program less than 2 weeks ago. So I'm just saying. Nowadays, the carrot of care is at home in Pennsylvania, yes, with Jimmy McTop hat, and like, I don't know who the chicken is. I'm not clear on that. But the carrot of care can continue to inspire us, to remind us that kids are awesome, and to guide us with its orange light to gather with other Unitarian Universalists at cons and GA and anywhere else we have the opportunity. So now, let us carrot on to religious exploration. Yeah, you knew it had to happen.
Youth Guide at General Assembly. Youth Guides helped with youth-led events and advocated for other youth, and I have a specific moment of youth empowerment from GA that I want to share. At GA, there were these things called wave cohorts. There were 12 of them. They were the only things happening during their time. But I was in the youth wave cohort, which included adults. It was weird, but the problem with the wave cohorts, including the youth one, is they were aimed at adults, which excluded the youth just a little bit. And as lovely as the presenters of the youth wave cohort were, Jenica and Milo, they could only change so much to make it youth friendly. At some point, adults were speaking over youth in the youth wave cohort, which was about youth empowerment. And if you know anything about youth empowerment, that's a maybe don't do that, actually. But anyway, at some point, Milo, one of the presenters, made an open mic for exclusively youth, and I had the absolute joy of going up to this open mic and telling the adults the exact words, "We love your contributions, but respectfully, shut up." And now, the fun part, directly after me, 4 other youth echoed it in their own words. And Milo listened to us and echoed our words, "Adults, shut up," disrespectfully. And to me, this was beautiful because seeing youth speak up about issues that are affecting them and having adults listen is amazing, and I hope to see it in our congregation too. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daphne Elliott. My pronouns are she, her, and I went to Baltimore for the 2025 General Assembly. Tom, Sarah, Bea, Crow, and I got to Maryland after taking a wonderful road trip split up into 2 days. The road trip itself may or may not have been part of my elaborate plan to get everyone to listen to my 6-hour-long road trip, or playlist. We met up with a youth who came with one of Sarah's friends to cook dinner and watch the banner parade once we had arrived. The banner parade was a bit underwhelming to watch online, but getting to eat and cook dinner with our friends was a moment I enjoyed thoroughly. For the rest of the week, I spent most of the time I could in the youth room, but I also attended the GA Day of Service with the South Baltimore Community Land Trust, general sessions, and other bits of programming when I had time. Being in the youth room was a bit uncomfortable at first, because there were just so many people I didn't know, but I had come prepared with a genius 3-step strategy to deal with it. Step 1. Okay, Daphne, you have exactly 1 minute to cope with the fact that you can't spend the whole week in a corner. Step 2. You have 5 minutes to deal with the fact that you think step 3 is embarrassing. Step 3. Go up and talk to someone you think is cool. Forget all of the ways that middle school brainwashed you to think are the only ways to make friends. I'll give you an example on how to execute step 3 properly. Hello, my name is Daphne. What's your name? I think your shirt is really cool. What's your 3rd favorite letter of the alphabet? Can we please be friends? Miraculously, after the 2nd or 3rd block of time in the youth room, I had found a great group of friends, and over the rest of the week, we'd spend time getting lunch together or hanging out in the room with all of the booths during the block of time dedicated to the Meet the Moment wave cohorts. We attended the WARE lecture together, which was certainly a moment I will remember for a very long time. And my friends and I were also there when the president of the UUA, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, visited the youth room for a while and was hanging out and answering questions from youth. She seemed really cool, so I'm really glad we got to talk to her. Going to GA reminded me that the world is bigger than what goes on in my bubble of life, that it's important to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy, as Miss Frizzle says. I think it also made me appreciate a good conversation, and I think that the nature of GA brings up a lot of meaningful conversations about a variety of topics. I guess if I were to summarize what I learned from the experience, it's that you should find lots of different people to tell you their stories, and to tell your stories to others.
While Kurt gets his music, I'm Erin Garricky, that's Kurt Harris. We didn't get our title in the program for this morning, so I'll just tell you we're playing a piece called Heiferdal. It's by Roland Pritchard from the 1800s, arranged by our friend Larry Sue from Holland, Michigan. You may know it better as Blue Boat Home or Orange, oh shoot. Orange Carrot. No, Orange Vegetable Hum. We're gonna play Orange Vegetable Hum.
Hey everyone, I'm Briar, and my pronouns are they, them, or he, him. I was an entirely virtual participant in GA, and this is my third GA where I've been entirely online as well. So I might have a little bit different a perspective than the folks that were there in person. I am so appreciative that this is an option to attend at home because it really makes things easier to handle for my disabilities, my neurodivergence, and just general energy levels. It gives me some really nice comfort things, like being able to be in my comfy home clothes the entire time, take breaks and naps when I needed them, and just save money and eat my own food and whatever. Um, and there was a really huge safety consideration too, especially this year. I am not traveling anywhere because my identity documents have X's on them, and that's just became very dangerous. Um, it was disappointing that despite best intentions, there were still a bunch of things that we missed out on being online. One of the big ones was like not having a morning worship service for 2 days, whereas people in person had like two or three options. And that was frustrating for a lot of us because worshiping together is such a huge, wonderful thing about being a GA. Um, and there were a lot of accessibility issues. I have a wild sense of justice sensitivity. And so I ended up being kind of the face person to try to get answers for things, get help, reach out to the Covenant team when there was someone who was just hateful. Um, and the communication back was so just not there, which is really frustrating and hard for me to deal with because if I don't have communication, I just get even more anxious than I already am. But the bright point of these problems, though, was that the Disability Caucus continues to be just amazing together. We met with a Board of Trustees member and compiled a report outlining what happened with like constructive solutions, and I really feel like they heard us. And so I'm optimistic about some of these for future GAs. Despite those problems, though, there were so many things I loved this year. I attended the Juneteenth morning worship service, and it was just amazing and full of poetry and song and power. And I really enjoyed the cohort group I attended every day, which was Queer and Trans Communities in Crisis. It's just really nicely put together and allowed people who aren't in the community to kind of bear witness to everything we're facing. And the speaker lineup was just incredible. Um, I could go on and on about all of the talks I attended that were amazing, but I'll highlight just two of them. Dr. Gloria Brown Marshall, she gave this genuinely awe-dropping or awe-inspiring lecture on the history of protest in the US with a particular focus on Black activism. She wove in stories of her own family's generations of slavery in the South and their work in the civil rights movements, and talked about how the tools of the past are just as useful as they are today, as long as we use them. So things like creating actual railroad networks to help people get to safety, and making demonstrations that actually inconvenience people enough to make them take notice. Her newest book is A Protest History of the United States, and it is on my list to read. Um, as mentioned, the Where lecture was by Amara Jones, who is just outstanding. She spoke about how both historically and now, attacks on trans and gender diverse people are intentional tools of fascism. Transphobia worms its way into even liberal and democratic circles by making our healthcare and our very existence political, and it allows people to think that there are both sides to an issue and that they're equally valid in their concerns that deserve to be heard. And she also highlighted in very clear terms that attacks on our rights are attacks on everyone's ability to have rights. She gave this incredible call to action, especially to those who are still on the fence of like enthusiastic support versus complicit silence. Two quotes that really stayed with me are, "Where we are now is the brightest shining example of the potency of anti-trans politics in order to usher in transphobia and to usher in authoritarianism. And if you can't see a connection, I don't know what to tell you." The second was at the end of her talk, the answer is to believe in yourself. The answer is to believe in the fundamental goodness of people. The answer is to believe in the principles that you say you believe in and live by. That is the way that we'll be saved. I cannot wait for her lecture to go up and be public because I just had goosebumps listening to her. And since this is my third GA, I've made friends with a lot of other UUs now. And it's really nice seeing some of the same people year after year and having that like instant reconnection. It can be a year, but you're still close to each other. And I got to meet a lot of new people too. There was one woman who basically shared my brain, and we were talking about the same things in all of the chats we were in. And so yeah, there were issues and problems, but fun. At the end of the day, I am so glad I got to attend, and just be there in the way that I could.
All right, I'm the last one, and as the last one, I rewrote my speech 4 times based on the last 3 people who spoke. So, a little off of the wall, but this year's GA was very vibrant, meaningful, and a convergence of worship, governance, justice, and innovation. I got to spend an extra couple of days there because I'm a part of the admin association, which means I got 3 extra days added on where I got to learn really just how amazing our administrative staff is and how broad of a spectrum. We have people everywhere from rental professionals, communications coordinators, executive directors, bookkeepers, sextons, building maintenance people. It's so broad, and they are all required to make us run, to be able to be here. So spending 3 days before GA with them was wonderful. But then getting to GA was so much. So if anybody doesn't know what GA is, it's a giant convention center for every like-minded UU from the spectrum. So you get a choice of 5 different activities this hour, 5 different activities this hour, and it goes like that all weekend, all the way to 10 o'clock at night. So I think my earliest was 8 a.m. It's wonderful. It's a lot, and usually we take a month or 2 to really process it all because what's meaningful you in that day is meaningful to you differently a month later. So it's an amazing experience, and if you ever want to be a delegate, it's inspiring. I do want to lift up 3 big pieces that came out of GA because this is really the governance for our religion. We do something called Items of Action of Immediate Witness. So these are proposed a few years in advance. They're sent out to the congregations during business meetings that are held throughout the year. And there's a lot of research, a lot of intense criticism that goes into these. I want to lift up the 3 that we reaffirmed at our GA this year. The first one, as a UUA religion, we voted 99.2% to affirm this as delegates. We declare and affirm immigrants are people who have inherent worth and inalienable rights. This statement roots itself in UU theology and democratic ideals, condemning abuses like mass deportation, family separation, and the erosion of due process. It urges individuals and congregants to first educate yourself, know your rights training, accompaniment programs, to support immigrant aid organizations, to write letters, to counter anti-immigrant narratives. This is even when you're in the streets and hear stuff. How do you do that? How do you step up and say this is a basic right? To accompany individuals to hearings, to engage in documentation, and to consider nonviolent direct action when needed. The second action that was affirmed by 98.3% of the delegates, faithful defiance of authoritarianism, a call to action, reaffirming our covenant for democracy and freedom. This AIW frames authoritarian actions like the arrest of public leaders and the use of outdated laws to detain migrants as moral and civic threats. It calls for UUs to strengthen alliances, to amplify democratic values, and uphold justice through principled, peaceful resistance. The final is defend LGBTIQ freedom amid funding crisis, a call for global solidarity. This AIW highlights the sudden loss in over $100 million in funding for LGBTIQ support worldwide, namely due to cuts by the US and Netherlands, jeopardizing thousands of grassroots programs. It urges personal and congregational education on the crisis, formation of global solidarity and fundraising networks, and advocacy urging governments to restore funding and public share of stories from affected communities. In addition, my personal favorite was also the Ware Lecture, and when it goes public, everybody here really needs to watch and listen. Amara Jones is truly a visionary. She's an amazing journalist and change maker in our world. She has been known for challenging conventional thinking and inspiring bold action to transform the world. She broke down the Heritage Group and the half-century-long strategic plan to find a systematic way of destroying our democracy as we know it so they can pick up the pieces. Through countless research studies, they found that the transgender community is the link in our community. And when harmed, prominent groups would set aside and save face instead of supporting our trans neighbors. Trans rights can be linked to just about any political argument, from sports to women's health to family structures and mainstream religion. Actually, that's another paragraph. I'll digress. Our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech, our freedom to choose who we are and what we want to do with our lives, those are all tied to what we do every single day and how we stand up for this link that is being attacked in the woven thread of our society, of our community, of our democracy. Justice is a verb. Democracy is a verb. Righteousness is a verb. You have to remain steadfast at the darkest times. GA for me was a chance to rekindle my love of social justice work and my love of everybody in my community, even those who spout hate, because we are all a part of this web. We are all here together. And I hope you all live your best lives and are able to live your best happy lives. Thank you all.
Well, I didn't know, but I thought this went up really well. Let's give everybody a round of applause. Like Linda said, it was a little bit like herding cats, sorry, but it came off. This month's Share the Plate goes to Transforming Heart Collective. Last year, many UUI members took the Trans Inclusion and Congregations course from the Transforming Hearts Collective, deepening our understanding of gender identity and true inclusion. This summer, we're offering a follow-up course, Responding to the Anti-Trans Movement. It's a free 3-session program that helps participants understand gender diversity and respond to political attacks on trans people. This month's Share the Plate supports the Transforming Hearts Collective, whose work empowers trans and non-binary people and equips communities like ours to show up with courage and compassion. To give, use your smartphone and text the donation amount along with the word SHARE to the number in your bulletin or on the Zoom chat. You can also give at uui.org. Here in the sanctuary, the ushers will come around with collection baskets. We now welcome your offering with gratitude. May it be given with a spirit of generosity and joy.
Thanks, Jill. Thank you for your generosity today. Our closing words today are by the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, the President of our General Assembly. Beloveds, we are a people who make dreams of a better future real through concrete action. We have always found new ways to advance the values we hold together, and I have every faith that our collective efforts can change the landscape of this hurting and beautiful world. It will take all of us, she said, in community to respond to these times. Our faith, our nations, our values, and our world demand nothing less. Blessed be and amen.
Please rise in body or spirit as we join together singing hymn 1028 in the green hymnal, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered, burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a songbook brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words on the screen and printed in your order of service. Now we extinguish the flame of our chalice, but not the light of understanding, the warmth of compassion, or the fire of commitment. He lives with us until we meet again. Go in peace.